Recorded Books presents Nothing Like a Dame, Conversations with the Great Women of Musical Theater by Eddie Shapiro. Narrated by Mia Barron, Alyssa Bresnahan, Alma Cuervo, Lynnette R. Freeman, Jenny Sterlin, Suzanne Toren, and the author.
Forward. Music has been a part of my life from as far back as I can remember. I grew up listening to jazz and the crooners, but it was West Side Story that really thrilled me and was my inspiration for a career in musical theatre. The history of musical theatre is full of incredible, indelible female roles. Mama Rose, Mrs. Lovett, Mrs. Anna, Sally Bowles, Charity Hope Valentine, Mame Dennis, Dolly Levi, Velma Kelly, Norma Desmond, Elphaba, Cassie, Reno Sweeney, Nellie Forbush, Millie Dilmont, Marion the Librarian, Effie White, Ruth Sherwood, Lorelei Lee, and luckily for me personally, Eva Perron, Grisabella, and Florence Vassie, to name a few. Every one of these amazing characters has been played and in many cases created by at least one of the incredible women in this book, who share their stories in the pages that follow. I am so proud that, like them, I have had the opportunity to devote a career to the craft of musicals. I know what these women have gone through to create the magic that they did. My hat and my tap shoes, yes, I tap, are off to each and every one of them. I hope you enjoy their humor, their passion, and their memories. A true insight into this fine, fine life. And then come see us in a theatre and keep this unique art form alive forever. Elaine Page.
Introduction. I was lucky enough to grow up in New York City with parents who took me to the theater. I was obsessed, especially with the dames. My 11th birthday was spent seeing Ethel Merman in concert. And once I was introduced to standing room by my first grade teacher and was old enough to see over the railing at the back of the theater, I went by myself. I saw everything and I loved it all. Even the stuff I hated, I loved. But viewing the shows themselves was never enough. I would memorize cast albums and pore over the liner notes. I would devour books and everything I could that gave me more insight into the magical worlds that would open up to me nightly at 8 and on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 2. There were so many stories. As I got older, I would go to cabaret performances of some of Broadway's leading ladies. They would talk about Broadway's golden age and their own personal recollections of Rodgers and Hammerstein, Leonard Bernstein, Comden and Green, Julie Stein. I'd listen enraptured, always wanting more. And I was always aware, too, that these women were getting older and that these stories wouldn't be with us forever. I decided I wanted to capture them, and an idea was born. As that idea evolved, I had a few goals. One was that I wanted each of the conversations with Broadway's iconic women to be career-encompassing. I had read my share of articles on these women, and frequently I'd feel unsatisfied. I wanted these chapters to be bigger than anything I'd read on the subjects, except perhaps books they themselves had written. And in the few cases where they had already written their own stories, I saw an opportunity to ask clarifying questions. Given the realities of publishing, I knew that big, long chapters would mean a short list of women. As much as I wanted to meet with everyone I could, I had to come up with a pretty strict, albeit subjective, criteria for who to include. The women in this book all had to have devoted the majority of their careers to the theater. No one who started in theater but moved on, Streisand. No stars from other media who visit Broadway, Minnelli. And no one-hit wonders, Holiday. Each of the women had to have at least one Tony Award and one other nomination or major award. Then, I had to attempt to differentiate between the stars, those women whose names are likely to be above the title in their next show, and the group of very fine, very wonderful working actors who might not yet have quite the same level of name recognition, box office command, or robust resume, much as I may love them. And finally, and here's where it gets to be the most subjective, as artists, they had to be unique. Oh, and one other thing. They had to say yes. The 22 women in this work not only said yes, but they were also incredibly generous with their time and their stories.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?